Welcome to the special edition of the Icon Talk Show. We've heard about Dr. Ephraim Amu in so many ways, but today we are privileged to hear from the family side, a perspective rarely shared. This is a father, a guide, and a man at home. Today, joining me is his lovely daughter, Dr. Misonu Amu, who will be sharing with us about the father's life, perspective, and things that make her who she is today, and also that continue to inspire the generation. Thank you for being with us, and I'm glad you are here. I know the viewers will be very happy for you to share the father that he was, not just an icon, but the father that he was at home with the viewers out there. Thank you for joining us today.
It's my pleasure. We called him Tata and our mother Nana. Tata, as we grew up to know him, was a very religious person, very disciplined. He was strict. He lived up to what he said. As a family, every morning we gathered together at 5 a.m. He would call all of us. And as children, very reluctant to get out of bed at the time. But, well, what can you do? So we woke up, we gathered around and had a morning devotion. And this practice went on for many years until we started leaving the house one after the other for secondary school. He loved sightseeing. So I remember when we were in Kumasi, I grew up to understand things in Kumasi. And he would take us to Lake Busuntri, take us around Kumasi itself. And I remember in those days there was a riot somewhere in Kumasi. I don't remember the exact. And when the chaos died down a bit, he took us all to that area to see the destruction that had gone on there. I think it was all to just give us the education that those sort of things were not, it shouldn't be something that we should practice. He was all for unity, love for each other, understanding people. So he was that kind of person. And everywhere we lived, we had friends, close friends. And for some reason, the friends became family. So in Achimota, we had these families, the Dowonas, the Chapmans, Damptes, we all grew up together. Then in Kumasi, we had the Chumberimes, Atefa, the Says. But then a few of them remained very close as family, and especially the Chumberimas and the Dowonas. We are very close. We grew up together. It is all to show us how to live together as one people. We would go to church together because he was in music. I mean, he was the choir master at the. In those days, it was Kumasi College of Technology, now Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. He was a choir master, so my mother was in the choir. My elder sister, when she grew up, also joined the choir.
Oh, wow.
So everywhere he had set up a choir. My mother was definitely part of it, When I also got into Legon, I joined the Legon Hall Choir because he was there,
Okay.
So And even at home, he would teach us some of his songs. Usually, when he finished writing a song, I think we would be the guinea pigs. He would teach us the
Interesting.
song exactly.
Okay.
And then he set up a choir at home as well. And that is why I think that is where I picked up a lot of his songs from,
Okay.
you know. So that was the kind of life we lived. And very often, because he was always home with my mother, when he does something, he plays it on the piano, he would ask my mother her opinion, even though she was not that musical, but she got used to it, and she gave very useful, suggestions or advice on that, and he appreciated it. So I would say that as a family man, he loved children, his own children, other children. He was a father to many, many, many people, you know. And I think he was a very benevolent person as well, right? I remember when he finally retired to Peki, there was this old lady, he regularly provided her needs, took care of that old woman until she finally passed away. There are a lot of other instances, but this is just to show you how he cared for people, loved people, and so on. So that is about him as a family man.
So, growing up with him, was he able to share any of his struggles as a youth? He growing up as a youth, any struggle that he went through that shaped his life to be who he became?
He told us he went to school, at 6 or 7. I'm not too sure. But then that was how he started. And I think that then he said he was the youngest in the class at the time, even at that age. So that is how he started. And then when he was in senior school, he learned to play the harmonium, right? And one of his teachers, the inspiration was from one of his teachers, Teacher Ntem. Teacher Ntem was his music teacher, first music teacher, and he taught him to play the harmonium. And then when Reverend Alote Papo, I think, he was a Methodist Reverend minister who was posted to Peki in those days, also a very musical person. So he started to teach him basic harmony and so on. So even when the Osofo left Peki to Accra, during his vacation, he would go to Accra and study, under him. And as a result, he lived with him as a helper, would serve him in the house in return for the music that he was also teaching him. After Blengo Senior School, he went to Abetifi, and he told us that, I think he said 3 of them started off to Abetifi. In those days, there were no vehicles, many vehicles, so they had to trek on foot to some places, continue by train, a lorry, and so on. My father was very persistent. He learned the language, and so he went through, so he went through and completed the seminary there at Abetifi. Then he was posted to Blengo Senior School, where he taught for a few years, and then he was transferred to Akropong.
Okay.
So while at Akropong, he actually studied the language and the tradition, the culture of Akropong. So he learned the songs from elderly women and the language as well from elderly people. And then, because of his interest in music, he also learned to play the drums. And he was taught by two sons of the chief at the time. I think it was a Kufu or so, but two of the sons taught him to play the drums and all the everything about the drums, the drumming, the language, what it meant
Yes.
when it was played, and so on. So that is how he picked up the Akan language. And because he was in Akropong at the time, when they attended church service, and at Akropong, once you are trained as a seminary, you have to teach for a certain number of years before you are ordained. And before you are ordained, you should be married. But he wasn't going to go by that condition because he was not married at the time. And that was not going to force him into marriage. And then he wanted to prove a point that even if you are not married, you could still be that kind of,
Yeah.
person they were expecting. So, and then they attended the Presbyterian church and realized that most of the elderly people were not able to sing the hymns. Why? Because they couldn't read, you know. So the participation wasn't that full. So he thought, well, these are people who come to church and they are not participating in singing.
Yeah.
So he thought he could write some Akan simple songs that they could also participate in. So that is how come he started writing his songs. And because he was in Akan area, definitely he started composing a lot of his songs in Twi. Many people think all his compositions are in Twi. But he has equally the same number of, quite a number of other compositions as well. But it is just that because he spent most of his teaching time in the Akan areas, from Akropong he went to Achimota, then to Kumasi, where he taught a lot of his songs to the Presbyterian church choirs. So that's how come his Akan songs are more popular than the other ones. But let me say that these days, the other ones are also picking up. The Akans are also trying to sing the other songs now. So that's how come he started his work.
So with all that you've said, I can see that Tata Amu, how we call him,
Yes.
Tata Amu, was a disciplinarian. So growing up as his daughter, how do you feel with all the influence that he has impacted on Ghana as a nation? How do you feel about him?
Let me say I am humbled when people recognize me as one of his children. And definitely, I mean, as as a youth, we were all playing games in those days. So I mean, there are certain rules that we had to abide by,
Yeah.
and we tried to do that. And as children, you would think that, oh, why are you worrying me, that kind of thing. But then you grow up and casting your mind back,
Yeah.
then you appreciate what you went through. So I would say that he was strict on us, yes, no two ways about that. And what we detested at the time was for you to do something wrong and your mother Nana tells you, "Ne tata vai machine." then you are in trouble. When Tata comes, I'll tell him,
Then,
hey, for the rest of everything. So in fact, we tried not to,
yeah.
and I don't remember Tata ever caning any of us, as our mothers do. Definitely, as for your
Our
mother,
mothers.
one, two, no, they give it to you. So we try to avoid that, and the way he would scold you alone
Yeah.
is enough to deter you from whatever it is. So we got used to it anyway, and outside people from outside thought he was that strict and that even if you came to the house he wouldn't entertain you. Far from that. So when our friends came to the house and see how he relates to them, then they are relaxed. So outside a lot of people have a very perhaps negative,
Yeah.
you know, impression about him, but when they got close, but really I don't think he looked that,
Yeah.
fearful for people to be running away from him. I don't know what they heard about him that made people feel that way. But I must say that he was a very sociable person, very jovial, and all of that. But one thing was when he was at work in the study, writing something, then there will be absolute silence in the house that day. And if you dare go off that, then you are in trouble. So, I mean, this is the way we grew up, and it, 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 it helped us to be able to stand on our own. He made it clear to us, do not envy anybody. Don't think this person has that, so you must also have it. Far from that. Be satisfied with what you are given. Be satisfied with what you have. And don't let other things distract you from what you have. When we were, in those days, for Form 5, there were certain subjects that were not part of the regular subjects.
Okay.
And you had to choose one of those subjects in addition to the regular ones. And those subjects, I think, were art, music, needlework, and cookery. And I chose needlework, wanting to do needlework. And my headmistress did not allow me, Miss Anderson. She said, she knew my father personally,
Okay.
they were friends. So she said, no, she wouldn't allow me to do needlework, but I should go and do music. So reluctantly, I went into music, and because I was the only one who took it seriously,
Okay.
my father encouraged me to go into teaching. So reluctantly, I did my diploma at Legon. Then I went to Winneba Specialist Training College to do my music education there.
Wow.
So I came out as a qualified teacher. And I taught in St. Monica's and then came back to Legon to continue working there. And then I did my master's and my PhD. And I haven't regretted a bit towing that line, because if I hadn't, I don't know how we're going to be able to collect his works.
Okay.
Now, what we are doing is that we are trying to put all his works together, digitize them, give out the translations, um, background stories.
Okay.
Most of these compositions were composed for a purpose. So those that have background stories, and then the translation, of course. So, and we have started with the early songs that he wrote. That's the first volume, which we are trying to complete. And then we'll put them on a website, and people can go on there and listen. But then if you want to keep them, then you have to purchase. Yes. So that's what we are doing, trying to put all his works together. And I think we have about 8 volumes that we have to work on. We are trying to seek sponsorship for that to be able to publish it.
Thank you very, very much. You've said a lot of things, and we are about to end this. I want to know what advice you have for the youth out there when it comes to our icon, Tata Amu?
I would say that do not chase wealth, you know. Strive and do what you think you can, and don't be distracted by other people's lifestyle. Live a humble life. Don't be too ambitious in life, you know.
Yeah.
Live within your means. Don't go beyond that. And be sociable, yes, but then do not overdo things as we see people doing now. So just try and do what you think you can do. Do it well, and you will be recognized. So that is my advice.
Thank you very much, Dr. Misunu Amu, for having the time with us, and we thank you very much for everything of the talks. Tata Amu has really done well for us, and his legacy will continue to live. I hope you sing one of the songs for us.
It's a great pleasure. Ever or tree?
Ever.
Oh my.
Amoju Fenigba.
Oh, you want that?
Love that song.
All right. So I'll sing the original.
Yes.
Original version and not the adulterated version.
Yes.
Okay. So it goes like this. Amewoji feyingba enunu wasie pa amechichi mweko bogbe pledeta wenami edonye plewuchienu be miawo miatosinu nu veve nyanya di dodo la medo kweto didi blumia zoling blemia jipe ingbalolo legbegbe ayengba wo nyonyo ayengba wo gbegle eleke mieleko sigbeke wa no tie join ayengba wo nyonyo ayengba wo gbegle eleke mieleko sigbeke wa no tie.
Thank you very much.
It's a great pleasure having me.
Thank you.
I hope that it will go a long way to tell you the story.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
To our viewers out there, thank you for watching, and it was a great pleasure having Dr. Misunu Amu on this show. Our Tata Amu's legacy live forever, one icon at a time. That's a wrap on the Icon Show with me, Fafa Bankas, where the culture meets vibes. See you on our next adventure. Let's explore our roots, tell our story, build our region, one adventure at a time. Koklo homek peona koklo, miva miyi ape.